Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and look for an angle to the race that might be a path to finding the winner. Well, no group racing on Sunday at Sha Tin, but we do have the return of the Collection Stakes. A little bit more on that as we go along. The first race I'm going to take a look at is race 10, and our winning factor is the map. So a little bit of history to this particular 1800 metre Class 2, once known as the Collection Stakes. It's the last chance saloon for some of the 4-year-olds hoping to force their way into the Derby field in a couple of weeks, and they represent some of the best winning chances down at the foot of the weights in this particular race. The likes of Marq, Sky Heart, a winner rising in class, Bundle Award and Low Rider. So this became known informally as the Collection Stakes when John Moore had one of the top 4-year-olds preparing for the 2009 Derby, a horse called Collection, who was ineligible for all the potential lead-ups due to his high rating. Moore asked the Jockey Club to vary the conditions of this race so Collection could run. The Jockey Club did. Collection won easily and then won the Derby easily as well. And you see on the results, it became a significant lead-up after that. Akid Mafid also took this path to winning the Derby. Waikuku was unlucky on Derby Day after winning this. It then lost favour more recently, and some years doesn't even have 4-year-olds in it. But once again this year, the Jockey Club has altered the conditions of the race to allow these bottom 5 runners one last roll of the dice to get into the Derby. And while you can make a case for a few of those horses, the ones that I'm really concentrating on are Marq and Sky Heart. And firstly, Marq. Now, he didn't have a whole lot go right for him in the Classic Mile 2 starts ago. And then plenty of things went wrong once again for him in his latest Class 3. This is race 433. He's in gate 13, red and green colours, and Marq begins well, but he's a horse who prefers to get back and run on, and Harry Bentley has to go all the way back. The early pace is okay, but you can see on the heat map the speed drops out of this from the 1200 to the 400. Bentley is looking for someone to drag him into the race around the outside, but eventually has to bite the bullet and circle the field himself, while the place getters are nice and cosy up near the lead in the first 3 positions. Now, the shape of the race takes the edge off Marq's sprint, especially as he has 132 pounds to carry, and he's trying to run down leaders who have plenty of petrol left. He can't sustain it, but isn't beaten far. Now that's an honourable defeat with a few things against him there from Marq. He rises in class this time, but of course gets a drop in the weights in the Class 2. Sky Heart, meanwhile, he's a very late emerging 4-year-old Derby horse. He didn't start his season until mid-January. He's only had the 3 runs, and he was a winner at his most recent. This is race 437, gate 11, yellow and green colours, and Sky Heart begins well, and Hugh Bowman takes him forward in the slower early pace, as is Sky Heart's usual pattern. Bundle Award, he gets the box seat there in the pink and green colours, and really the race shape couldn't be any better than this for these horses up on the speed. The tempo is picking up every section, with the fastest part of the race down the home straight, a shape that makes it very tough for horses further back. Sky Heart, he dashes quickly, goes clear, doesn't win by any fancy margin in the end, but never really looks like losing either. But it's not for nothing that I've made the winning factor for this race the map. So let's have a look at how the race shapes up. Although there are quite a few here capable of leading, they are what I would call opportunistic leaders, the kind who will lead if nobody else wants to lead, but it isn't their preference and they aren't going to go out and get into a battle for the front. More often than not, that produces a moderate sort of chopping, changing tempo, with the riders of other pace horses usually relieved to see that a counterpart is going out to set the pace. One in that group, Sky Heart, so Lyle Hewitson has the option of leading or sitting in the first few of the gelding's first attempt at 1800 metres. Meanwhile, we saw the trouble that Marq was caused last start by the combination of an outside draw and a race shape against him, and he faces much the same proposition again. This time carrying a lightweight, so perhaps Bentley can make more use of him, but that would still hurt his major weapon and ability to sprint at the finish. But the tip from me in race 10 is Sky Heart, his winning factor, the map. Now, he's certainly no good thing. There is not a lot over a few of these horses, in particular a few of the 4-year-olds. They all need to win to get into the Derby, so they'll be out there being very competitive. But I think the best of the chances are Marq, Quinn and Sky Heart, and Sky Heart does have that map advantage over Marq, Quinn. The other race I'm looking at for Sunday is race 11, where our winning factor is acceleration. So a Class 3, 1600 metres, and we've been talking about horses looking towards the Derby, and here's another race dominated by 4-year-olds, all of them needing to win to make any case at all for their inclusion in the Derby, and even a win might not be enough for one or two of them. Light Years Charm, he's made a very good impression in his brief career under David Eustace. John Size trained Brilliant Express has broken through with 2 wins in very different circumstances at his last 2 runs, and the Derby might just be out of reach for Embraces or Dragon Joy, but they're going well and certainly a chance of winning this race. But the 2 lead players are Light Years Charm and Brilliant Express. So first of all, let's have a look at the most recent effort from Light Years Charm. It's race 4:13, gate 13, whitish colours, and Light Years Charm jumps okay, but doesn't have the speed of some others, and Zach Purton has to surrender early and steady back to midfield to get into a 2-wide position. Now, on the heat map, the pace isn't especially slow, just below average. He gets a perfect trip through the race, but then he looks the winner a long way out in the home stretch, cruising up, accelerating impressively to go well clear of last week's winner, Juno Pride, and Zach lets him just coast to the line over the final stages. So even without pressure late in the race there, his finishing times were excellent down the straight there, Light Years Charm, and might even be a squeaky chance in the Derby if he manages to get into the field. But he got 10 points for that from the handicapper. He probably needs to do it again and get another 10 points to be sure of making the Derby field. Now, Brilliant Express, he's a slightly different case, although he's got 17 points himself for his last 2 wins. He came from a long way back to win in Class 4. Then we saw him in a completely different role in Class 3, and even more impressive. He's in gate 10 here, Alexi Bedell in the famous purple with yellow stars of owner Larry Young, and the white face of Brilliant Express soon shows out, pushing onto the front, and the heat map shows that this was no trot and canter. The first 600 metres run at a genuine speed, and then picking up to be slightly faster than average for the remainder of the race. Now, not especially fast, but certainly you can see there was no resting in front either. He gave all his pursuers their chance to run him down, but nothing could, and he drew right away. An interesting and particularly effective change of tactics there for this son of Star Spangled Banner, which is interesting as we often see the Star Spangled Banner stock run well from in front, including, of course, one of our best in recent years, California Spangle, and it was the preferred style of the stallion himself. So that change of tactics might have uncovered something here with Brilliant Express. Well, when we go to the map, although there are others with some speed in the race, he steps up now to 1600 metres, and I won't be surprised if we get something similar from Brilliant Express, making this a genuinely run race again. Now, Light Years Charm had been an untidy beginner in a couple of his early starts, but has jumped well his last couple, now draws better than he has been, and I think Hugh Bowman will have him in the first half of the field, not wanting to press too far forward, but also mindful of not giving away too big a start. Embraces, well, he doesn't have a lot of speed, but he's proven at the distance and suited by what should be a genuine tempo, while Dragon Joy also not helped by the setup here, a wide gate. He'll get a long way back, but will be running on strongly. But for me, the tip in race 11, Light Years Charm. His winning factor, acceleration. Now, I think they're both great chances here, he and Brilliant Express, but that acceleration, that turn of foot, that Light Years Charm showed in his win last time. That was well above average finishing speed, and I think that will be enough for him to bridge the gap on Brilliant Express when it gets serious. Well, that's it from the Winning Factor this week. Good luck on Sunday. We'll see you next time.